Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Brother Rob Wilson. I wanted to talk about another thing that the narcissist has a real appetite for. What makes you or what makes myself appealing or unappealing to a narcissist? And I just did an upload last week where I talked about narcissists find responsible people very appealing, very appetizing to their need because of their irresponsibility. So they are attracted to, they have an appetite for overly responsible people. Now, today, I want to talk about, and this is, there's something I want to say before I get into this. Just hold on and bear with me. Is that people get trapped into asking questions and ruminating about questions pertaining to the narcissist. I got so many video ideas that people need to know about. And you get trapped in questions like why can't they control their temper? Why can't they stop yelling at me? Why can't they stop cussing me out? Why can't they stop insulting me? What did I do wrong? What was I supposed to say? Why can't I express to them and get empathy from them? Why can't I get concern from them for how their shouting and their screaming makes me feel? Why can't I get across to them the fact that they're unreliable, and why doesn't it affect them? Well, I want to show you a little clip of why who they are and what they are cannot be answered by us.
What the hell are you?
Yeah, that's from a movie. I think from the 1990s, maybe the 1980s. Predator. The predator comes onto a foreign environment, onto the earth, to hunt human beings for sport. And the prey actually finds the predator repulsive and can't understand what this creature is. What are you? Why are you doing these things? What are you? And just the way we react to the narcissist, why are you doing these things? What are you doing? When you ask that question of the narcissist asks that question right back to their victim. We are as unknown and as foreign to them as they are to us. They are not like us. Well, anyway, so we're going to get into that more in depth in the future, but just a real quick thing that they want that you supplied, and because all they boil down to is supply. They don't boil down to love. In a relationship with a narcissist, there is no love. Period. Point blank, period. There's no love. But you're like the last video I talked about, and if you haven't seen this, I might make this into a playlist. Your over responsibility appealed to their irresponsibility to the point where you began having responsibility for the emotions they felt from reactions from things you said that shouldn't have caused that reaction. Asking why they were cussing at you, asking why they said they were going to do something and they didn't do it. These things should not cause a visceral, combative, dangerous response from a rational human being. It wouldn't cause that. You would have an explanation. The narcissist never has an explanation. They're governed by their emotions. They're governed by their desires. They're governed by their instincts and their impulsivity. You have to remember they're not operating from an adult mindset. They're operating from a mindset and an emotional set. They've been deprived. They've been deprived of the growth that amounts to normal, mature manhood or womanhood. But the thing that you brought to the equation, and I want to bring up, and I'll end with this. What you brought to them, you need to give to you. That's big. This is big time. What you brought to them that worked for them, give it to you. and it's this: you work. You have an ethic of work. You have an ethic of doing what it takes to get the job done. You have an ethic of doing what it takes to make a relationship work. You have an ethic of work, putting in legitimate things. You were willing to go to counseling. You were willing to apologize for real offenses, even when they were reactionary offenses, even when it was reactionary abuse, even when you raised your voice. You were responding. You're even taking responsibility for your actions that fell below your desired performance in spite of what they had done to provoke it. You put in the work. You put in the responsibility. You put in the work to let them know, because what you were doing, it would work in a healthy relationship. It would work with a mature man. It would work with a mature woman. When you mature people, there's reciprocity, because you bring to me something that bothered you, and because I understand it would bother me also, I realize, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I totally forgot. Or, I'm so sorry I didn't let you know it came up. Some type of reasonable explanation. You were asking for reasonable when they were asking for unreasonable. They were asking you to accept unreasonable explanations. You had reasonable questions. I'm going to the store. Okay. They come back 2 hours later without anything, without a product. I thought you said you were going to the store. They snap on you because they got caught, because they were guilty, because they have no reason, no reasonable response for why they were gone 2 or 3 hours and come back with no store products. Okay. Or as they're going to the store, you say, what store are you going to? Because something popped in your mind that they could pick up for you. Okay. Maybe and this is an actual situation to deal with a narcissist. They snap on you. You're controlling. Why are you always asking me where I'm going? Whoa. That's a guilty person. And the fact of the matter is, I'm unshaven right now, but you need a pack. You're down to your last razor and it's dull, and you were going to ask them to pick you up a pack of razors, but you weren't on their menu. You were not on their menu to put in any work. There's no reciprocity, even though and here's the thing, they give you no information. Okay. And that's a power and control technique to keep you without information. Then, let me tell you, because this is why we know each other's circumstances, because it's all the same. You gave them an overwhelming amount of information to try to keep them in a place where they felt safe, where they felt secure, doing the things that it takes to build trust with people. You're an open book. They're a closed book. Okay. So at any rate, you're putting in the work on your behalf. Okay. On your behalf, you're asking the questions that you should be able to ask, and they're shaming you and they're blaming you and they're blowing up at you for asking those questions to where you don't even know what you can ask anymore. You don't want to ask anything. They want to silence you. They want to make you work on explaining to you what they were up to, why they did what, because you're asking, what did I do that made them do that? How do I interact with this person? You're filled with all these questions on how to operate with someone who's not like you, who's really not like any other creature on this planet that's healthy, that's functional, or that's dysfunctionally functional. Because we all got times we don't measure up to the best of ourselves, the best of our aspirations, not the narcissist. The narcissist never has a time when they don't measure up to the best of themselves, because they have a perfectionist mentality. So you put the work in on your side of the fence, and then when they don't measure up, you're making excuses for why they blew up at you. You're thinking about, well, maybe they had a bad day. Well, maybe they got some bad news. You should have known that in the first place. You're filling in the gaps. You could look at it as a means of you're being overly responsible. But then you go not beyond the fact that you are doing the work to present yourself as healthy, to present yourself as reciprocal, to pick up the things from the store that they ask you to pick up when you let them know you're going to the store. They probably have a list of 5 or 10 things for you to get, things you don't even know where they are because it's not your thing. And you pick them up and you bring them home, even though you just modeled an example of how to be reciprocal in relationship. They don't learn the lesson. They don't learn the lesson that this is how a relationship works. They don't have the works that measure up to love. But what I'm going to try to tell you is the amount of effort you put in on thinking up why they did that, what you can do to prevent them from blowing up and losing control on you and making you feel less than, making you feel silenced and unheard, making put that same work into you, what they would not put into you, the encouragement that you deserved, the praise that you deserved, the peace that you deserved. You have to work on achieving that for yourself. Many times, okay, the work you put into them prevented you from doing the work that maybe you had done before you met them or that you had always desired to do. Now, with them out of your life, or even if they're still in your life, move your focus off of them onto you. And if you are in this relationship, the one thing about dealing with a narcissist is our own responsibility for realizing, I'm appealing to this person. I'm appealing to this person. Is there something with me that is making me overly appealing to this person? And many times we have to admit there was. There was something that made us the perfect catch for a dysfunctional person. Start putting that effort you made into accommodating them, into accommodating you, into accommodating, because many times when you do so much work on trying to make this work, you gave up your workout regimen. You sacrificed making your meals on one day a week and scheduling your meals, and you started eating unhealthy. You realized that you sacrificed your reading time. You realize you sacrificed a lot of your relaxation time. And this isn't being about being somebody who gets nothing done, but this is about just your peace. You sacrificed your peace. Get your peace back because they overworked you. You put in double work. It takes double. You know how they say a relationship is 50-50? Well, I like to put it this way. A healthy relationship is 100%, 100%. Each person putting in all their effort to be as healthy as they can be and also to provide for what the other person needs, not wants. The needs of a narcissist are excessive in every way, while the needs of their victim are usually less than. Are usually less than. You are trying to find a way to measure up to their unrealistically unrealistic expectations they had on you, while they fell far short on supplying or doing anything to measure up to the most realistic and basic expectations of a relationship. Apologies, communication, uh, openness, a sense of this person is for me and not against me. You were for them and you weren't for you, while they were for them and they were oppositional to you. So you have to get back. We all of us who've ever had contact with a narcissistic abuser have to get back to stop asking questions like what the H are you that Arnold Schwarzenegger asked the Predator in the movie The Predator, and get back to asking, what are you? What am I? Okay. Why am I waiting on taking care of myself? Why am I waiting on putting my economic status, because what the narcissist often sucks out of their victim is their time, their energy, their attention, and their money. So I don't know what you want to work on and focus on next to heal and recover, but start with that. Focus on starting with your time or your energy, not letting them rob you of your energy, not letting them rob you of your attention. Give yourself attention. Make that decision. Oh, I had a whole exercise regimen going until this person came along. Okay? Get back into weightlifting, get back into working out, get back into taking care of and loving you, because you have been loved in a love deficit ever since you started with them. You didn't have a lack of work, but you were working on a project that can never pass the test because you were working on a project with an alien to whom you are and to whom it takes to have a compatible, long-term, fulfilling relationship. They were an alien to what it to the ingredient needed to have a compatible relationship. You were you were you were someone that the right person could have made it work with. And if that other person wasn't a narcissist, it would have worked. And it wouldn't have robbed you of all the things that you robbed from yourself by giving them all your time, your attention, or your energy, your attention, and your money. Okay. So I would say, think about your time and take all that thought, all that rumination off of why and what and where did I go wrong and all this stuff, and put it on the direction you can go for you. I'm a person who's got accustomed to making a lot of sacrifices for other people. They love people who put in the work to make the effort work. They do double work. They do double time. Okay. All right. I hope this blesses you. I hope that this is understandable. Take the focus off of them and put it on you, because they robbed you of that in a way. But another thing about our responsibility, when we take responsibility for what they robbed from us, we don't blame them. We take responsibility. We say, okay, I'm going to start doing 20-minute walk a day. Then I'm going to do 30-minute walk a day. Then I'm going to do work up to an hour walk 3 times a week, 4 times a week, whatever you have to start doing to break the cycle of being stuck in rumination and focusing on things that don't benefit you in any way. Benefit you, because they never have and they never will. Grace and peace.